I left New York City because I knew I wanted to be closer to nature and I wanted my whole life to slow down. What I found is that even after I left the city, this hustle that I had in me just followed me to the next place. Even here, I still have these urges to prove and produce and to keep on pushing. Our garden is starting over, and so am I, at 37 years old. I'm sensing myself shifting into a new phase, and a lot of the conversations I've been having with my friends lately are all about this same exact topic. We're all around the same age in our 30s, and we were all shaped by this same world that tied our worst to our output. And all of us in various ways are now trying to unlearn that. What I'm realizing, though, is that peace feels like something that grows very slowly, kind of like a seed that needs space, time, less noise, and a lot more sunshine. So this is the beginning of that journey for me.
You know how you used to say, you sleep when you're dead, right?
Why did we think that was cool?
I don't know. I thought I was like such a rock star, like doing crap like that, like just going hardcore, never stopping, hyper focusing on like just a couple things.
I feel like when you're in the military, the mentors I heard louder were like, probably you sleep when you're dead, go as hard as you can all the time just to like prove your worth.
You are probably the most productive person I know. When is your mind not working? I feel like you're always reinventing yourself. And that's, I think, I love about you the most. And you become so good at something in such a short amount of time.
I don't ever become an expert or anything. I think I do jump around to a lot of different things. I'm curious about a lot of stuff naturally. And there's some urgency in me that's like, wait, I want to do all these things and I don't think there's enough years in a lifetime. I want to also just change about myself that I'm actually enjoying the journey. It shouldn't be like this just rush to when the homestead's done, then I get to relax. Like, no, it's never done here. It's not like, retiring at 65 or whatever. I can't just apply that same mindset to this homestead and think, oh, but at least I'm homesteading and not, in corporate America anymore. I can't just like trade one rat race for another.
I love the view from our bedroom, except for one major thing. All right, so you look out here, you see the river over there. What is this? This thicket of blackberries is entangled with a bunch of poison ivy and random trees. Across our 38 acres in this east-west facing holler, this is actually the spot that gets the best sunlight. So that's why we're gonna go ahead and clear it out and set up this space for our raised garden beds. Last year, I don't think there was a single day that we did not have poison ivy. I get it bad. Like I look like I have a disease. But before I clear everything out, I first want to make sure to actually save several of these because we're going to transplant them elsewhere onto a trellis, but also a bunch of the neighbors asked for some. These are actually great blackberries. They have no thorns on them, and we harvested a lot of them last year, but we actually couldn't get to 99% of them because they were in the middle of this poison ivy thicket. So last year, Rocky and I took a whole bunch of courses, some of which were about using primitive hand tools like the scythe. And one of the things I love about Rocky is that he's really showing me a different rhythm and pace of life. He will literally spend half a day cleaning a rusty old hand tool just because he loves doing it, and he gets to listen to the sounds of nature for hours.
I like the idea of taking something that was used long ago and bringing it back to life and using it. And it forces you to slow down. You gotta slow down when you're using hand tools, and I think, especially in today's day and age, slowing down is a good thing. I love restoring and using hand tools, but there's a lot of people out there that are a lot better than me at it and that I've learned from. I've always had a vivid imagination, I think. I can picture what did this make? Did this make a cabin one day? Did it make a bridge? Who used it? Who was the old man that used it? Young fella. Did they use it their whole life? Did it get sold and become somebody else's tool? You know, all those kinds of things.
That's literally what you're thinking about?
Sometimes.
Baby, that's amazing.
One of the most, if not the most important thing we can invest in is tools. Good quality tools. Whether they be old tools, new tools, they will pay for themselves in the long run. Invest in learning stuff. I know everybody's not a book person, but yeah, I love books. There's things that happen during the day, and it'll make me think, well, I'd like to know how you do this. And then that night I can just go grab the book and start reading about it and learn. And you do the same thing kind of on YouTube and how people do it differently. It's not really right and wrong. It's just different ways of doing it.
Okay, so we came back from our honeymoon and I was actually really excited to hop back into all of this. And I was like, okay, how can I come up with a good like daily schedule that includes like work and play and relaxation? And it was probably a little heavily weighted on the work, but even if it wasn't, it was just the fact that it was so structured and scheduled. I think that stressed you out.
Yeah. Let me put it like this. Coming from like my perspective, homesteading is different work, and it's hard work, but it's supposed to be very fulfilling work. At least in my mind, it should be. If you set this schedule up every hour of every day, then what's the real difference of working in corporate America? You got all these deadlines and stuff. I think that should be one of the reasons you do this, is to get away from that kind of structure. You got to have some structure, I agree. I think if somebody is relaxed and doing something because A, they enjoy doing it, or B, they know it has to be done, I think they will work a lot better at it without additional pressures of time constraints and stuff. Because also with time constraints, you skip over stuff that you wouldn't skip over if you were taking your time. I mean, it was pretty wild. An hourly schedule, that's, to me, is crazy. How could somebody enjoy that?
You know, something I noticed that was interesting is once I just stopped talking about that schedule, is I feel like things actually got done faster. And I think I had built up some of this work that we had to do in my head because I've been dreading things since last year. I was like, oh man, one day we got to get in that poison ivy thicket. That's going to be a 2-week situation. And it actually ended up being like 2 hours.
So after all that hard work, we were like, okay, what do we need to do to make sure this thicket never comes back? What we're gonna do is lay down 2 layers of cardboard boxes that we happen to get for free from the dollar store. And then we're gonna cover that up with bedding that we pulled out of our chicken and goat stalls that was ruined after the last flood. So we had to get it out of there anyway. And all of that waste as it decomposes is actually going to become a foundation for our soil. And each of these layers is going to feed that soil. It's going to hold in moisture and it's going to keep all the future weeds at bay. And every single one of these layers over time is going to bring us one step closer to having the richest, most incredible topsoil that's going to be sustaining us well into the future and decreasing how much we outsource for our survival.
I love this feeling of control. And for me, like, that's what spreadsheets and like back-to-back scheduling and like, you know, having everything in line and order feels like. It feels like the sense of control. I mean, it also feels like structure. But then, you know, where's that fine line where the control sense feels like overtiring and exhausting?
No one's like, enjoy the journey while you're in the army, right? No one cares. They're just like, dude, you get the work done. And
Yeah.
like, that's really all that matters.
But the problem, I think, is when we start to like translate all that stuff to completely overlay with our personal lives, and then you live your whole life that way, and that's problematic for sure.
Yeah. Like I always thought this was like a really great thing that I was this way. I was like, look how much I get done. And that was something I got validation for. But now I'm like, this actually works against me. And it served me well during that period of life, but not anymore.
Of course, the source of this is something you got to go all the way back to the start. It's not, it's not more recent stuff. It's not the military. It started long before that. And everyone kind of has their own, reasons, but that is the thing to go untangle all the way back there.
Yeah, and you'll seek things in life, people and experiences that will like confirm or align with whatever that is. So like if your coping mechanism when really young was like overprotect, to constantly be busy, that whatever very, very young, then you'll choose the military. You'll choose anything that's like in the same vibrational frequency. Oh, this is controlling, this is regimented, this is super busy, this is external authority. Yes, there's judgments that are in the wake of not doing. And so you've become the critic that they were, and then this feeling like it's never enough.
People like to joke about us living out here in the middle of nowhere, and they'll often say it's like a scene out of the movie Deliverance, because to them, this is a horror movie. But I really don't see it that way, because I already lived a horror movie. I thought that what I went through was normal. I thought that if you didn't have that as an experience, you were just one of the rare, lucky ones. But I think it's this whole exposure to demons from an early age that is the thing that made me strangely capable as an adult. So things like working 20-hour days at McKinsey or summiting Mount Everest were still hard, but I never questioned if I was going to be able to do it. My formative years also gave me this deep instinct to rebel against these systems that I felt were oppressive, unjust, or just dehumanizing. I could feel even back then that something about them was deeply wrong. And yet, like many of us, I just kept gravitating towards the familiar, the chaos, the grind, because I was raised to believe that pain was love. Pain is home. After a while, though, I realized I wasn't rebelling against the system anymore. I was actually rebelling against myself, against my own well-being, my peace, my worthiness, and that's when I knew that something had to change. I don't want to be defined by my ability to endure suffering anymore, and thriving in chaos isn't the legacy that I want to leave behind.
If Aletha at West Point saw you right now, what would surprise her?
This is probably sad to say. I think my West Point Aletha she wouldn't be very happy with some of the things I'm doing right now because she wouldn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was still in that frame of mind of go, 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 go. You have to be this boss chick. You have to be badass in order to seem like you succeeded in life. Trying to live a more calm, peaceful life right now is not something that I understood then. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think my old self would think I was a complete loser right now.
Yeah.
I feel like Rocky and John are both always like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, would you calm down? Would you slow down? Like, why are you making work such?
Yep.
What John wanted you to go golfing the other day and you were like,
no, I can't. I need to know like 48 hours in advance. I can't have this same day things going on. Like I have my calendar and all my tasks laid out and I'm mentally prepared for the day, like ahead,
I get it though, but like, I'm also like, oh, wouldn't that be so nice if we could just spontaneously be like, sure.
And I think it's just because we have to have a calendar because the quantity of things going on is too much. So if you don't organize it like that, it's just going to explode.
Yeah.
For now, this is my attempt at keeping the cats out of these raised garden beds. Obviously, this is not going to be a permanent solution once stuff actually starts growing here, but for now, it will do.
They'll poop where they decide to poop. They'll try to cover it up, but still it's going to be wherever they want to go.
We have grown so many different things. Everything from truffle mushrooms to melon berries to Korean gennip leaves to Thai basil, Thai chili peppers. And for someone like me who grew like 2 tomatoes and like a really misshapen tie-dyed bell pepper last year, this feels a bit aggressive. But I'm also really proud of myself because I don't think last year's results should have inspired much confidence in me to keep going, and yet I'm just going harder, which is usually how I am at things that I fail at. Most of the stuff, maybe at least half right now, are taking off and doing what they're supposed to do and growing, and I see things coming out of the little specks of seeds that I once put in there.
Remember we had a garden growing up, of course, and I just remember turnips was one of the things that I could go out there and I would just pick it and cut it up and eat it, dirt and all.
I do already see a number of ways how I'm overcomplicating things, like these spacing requirements on the seed packets. I may have squeezed some stuff in a little too tight. I do have to ask myself, like, when is enough enough? And when does more actually become less? This is something that Rocky's helpful about. He's already been like, we don't need to plant these things, and these things next year. Why did you even bother with these? Sometimes I just gotta like learn my own mistakes as I go.
I think doing this kind of stuff, I mean, you've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy it, even on the worst days. And you wish you could be doing something else instead of doing what you're doing. You still have that feeling of, you know, this is for the betterment of the place and for us. Doesn't mean it ain't hard or sweaty or muddy or dirty. It just means that, hey, I'd rather be doing this than selling my time to somebody else.
You're pretty muddy at the end of the day.
Most days.
You're pretty sweaty.
Most days.
Pretty dirty.
Most days.
Learning about feminine energy, masculine energy for years now, doing is very masculine, can be very masculine. And then letting that trickle into leaning more into my feminine energy. And I feel like I can do that because I'm partnered with a masculine man. And you are too. And so I feel like you and I have this great opportunity and container, as they say, to really practice that and lean into it, because there's support there.
And that's what I did for myself for so long. I used to have so much pride in the fact that I could do those things that I thought that made me like different or unusual. But now I'm like, served me, you know, well in all sorts of things. But this phase, I just don't even, I'm just like tired even talking about it.
Yeah. I know. My brain is tired from just trying to figure everything out. I'm leaning more into not immediately doing it my way. And that speaks a lot to like wanting to control or wanting things a certain way and perfectionism. So letting go of that is also a process.
Thank you so much, both of you. This is like my biggest work, truly. And I feel like I could actually, I don't know about solve everything, but had we not had this conversation, there's so many things that I would not even be thinking of right now. I think I'll be a different person by the end of this year. My hope is that this series will be a conversation. So if there's anything that you want to share or anything that you're like, I just want to shake her and tell her this. Here's something I learned. I'm here to listen. And if you are also looking for a bit more in the backstory of all of this, you can watch the next video, which was a trailer for this series. Thanks for being here.